Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a really insightful set of educational materials called The Building Blocks of Collaborative Fairness. We're going to be looking closely at how elementary students learn one of the absolute most vital and, frankly, most difficult skills out there, resolving interpersonal conflict. So let's jump right in. So let's start with a question we've all likely pondered at some point. How do we actually teach fair conflict resolution? I mean, think about it for a second. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, or honestly just someone who remembers being a kid, you intimately know the universal frustration of childhood arguments. The screaming, the standoffs, the endless, but he started it routine, right? The real challenge our source material tackles today is figuring out how we can possibly teach young children to solve these very real, very emotional problems without actually fighting. Which brings us to Section 1, the messy room conflict, a relatable childhood battleground. And moving right along to Section 2, the When I framework, a tool for clear communication. So let's see this framework in action. We've got this totally classic, highly relatable case study of two kids, Mia and Sam, navigating a dispute over toys left on the floor. Now, this framework is a very specific educational tool designed for 1st through 4th graders to handle exactly this type of clash. Listen to how Mia addresses the mess. She says, "Sam, when you leave your toys on my side of the room, I feel worried that I might trip. Can you help me find a way to keep the floor clear?" Just pause and think about that delivery for a second. It is remarkably measured and empathetic. She's vividly demonstrating the framework by turning what could easily be a screaming match into a genuine, productive conversation. And the fundamental takeaway from the source material here is this: be assertive with facts without being mean. By using that when I frame, Mia completely diffuses the volatility of the situation. It's brilliant, really, because she avoids throwing any insults at Sam, but at the exact same time, she remains incredibly effective and assertive about her own needs. She doesn't back down, she just entirely shifts her method of delivery. Okay, let's dive into this a bit deeper and look at the exact steps. The psychological mechanics of Mia's quote seamlessly break down into 3 really actionable pieces. Step 1 is to state objective facts. Mia simply points out that Sam is leaving toys on her side of the room. It's just an undeniable fact, right? Not an accusation. Step 2 is to express personal feelings. She specifically says she is feeling worried about tripping. She completely owns her emotion. And finally, step 3 is to ask to collaborate. She asks him to help find a way to keep it clear, which actively invites him to be part of the solution. On to Section 3, facts over insults, changing the behavioral response. And this brilliantly illustrates the core choice kids face in these tense moments. On one hand, we have the standard childhood instinct, aggression and insults, the typical "you're messy and you're annoying." But countering that is the whole goal of these educational scripts: collaborative problem solving. This completely shifts the approach, contrasting that standard destructive path with a highly productive new method provided by the When I framework. The key here is focusing on personal feelings and specific actions. When a young student learns to express their concerns over objective actions, like, leaving toys on the floor, rather than attacking the character of their peer, they have the power to stop a fight in its tracks before it even begins. It completely changes the dynamic from a battle to a mutual challenge. Which leads us to Section 4, Principled Negotiation for Kids, Empowering Young Problem Solvers. So the crucial point is really understanding what principled negotiation looks like. As it applies to elementary students, it's a communication strategy that fosters fairness and assertiveness by inviting peers to resolve issues together. It takes a highly sophisticated adult concept and just distills it perfectly for the young learner's mind. To summarize the core outcomes of the entire Building Blocks of Fairness series, the material basically equips kids to successfully navigate interpersonal conflicts. It trains them to rely heavily on objective facts rather than just raw emotion. It fosters this beautiful balance of fairness and assertiveness, and ultimately it constantly invites peer resolution. I mean, these scripts aren't just giving kids a quick trick to solve a messy room. They are meticulously building a foundation for healthy, lifelong relationships. Which brings us to a really important, kind of funny realization here. From the classroom right to adult conversations. We've been talking entirely about communication tools for 1st through 4th graders, but let's be real with ourselves for a second. Collaborative fairness is absolutely just as essential for us adults. The exact strategies outlined in this elementary framework are the very same tools we need when we're navigating complex conflicts in our own workplaces, our friendships, and our homes. So, as we wrap up our explainer today, I really want to leave you with a final provocative thought. If elementary students can learn to master principled negotiation using the When I framework, what's stopping the rest of us? Take a moment to reflect on how you might apply these surprisingly basic yet incredibly effective problem-solving tools the very next time you find yourself in a conflict. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely hope this helps you approach your next disagreement with just a little more clarity and collaboration.